Hey everybody, it's Matt Johnson here, back for another mini episode of Real Estate Uncensored as always. Greg McDaniel in the co-pilot seat, the junior grandmaster himself. Greg, how's it going?
Good afternoon, Matt. I am pumped to be here, man. As always, we have got some great tips to keep everybody from falling flat on their face, getting distracted, and overall just sucking as an agent. So I'm excited to be here. I think you and I were talking off air. As always, we do that. Everyone should know that. Matt and I always log at least 20 minutes of BS before we get on the air with everyone, so we can get all of our stuff out of the way. Eileen's sitting behind me right now, which I won't turn the camera on because I will be killed. But she's just cracking up. She goes, "You and Matt are ridiculous together. You guys make me laugh." And Matt and I are like, "Well, yeah, of course. We're funny people." I mean,
so we make ourselves laugh. That's really all we can say to that.
At least we find ourselves funny.
That's right.
All right, let's go.
Okay, so before we get into that, if you're watching the replay, do yourself a favor, subscribe on YouTube. Or if you like the audio versions of these mini episodes or anything having to do with Real Estate Uncensored, head on over to iTunes or Stitcher and subscribe there. And as always, if you want to keep up with us on a daily basis, or if you want to see the various periscopes, meerkats, and blabs that Greg is tinkering around with, follow us. Greg is at McDaniel Systems. I am at Broken Funnel. So, with that being said, we are talking about the daily habits that are killing your real estate career. So I'm going to just kind of wind the crank on Greg's back a little bit and then just set him free. So bad daily habits. I'm sure that you've seen a little bit hanging around the office. You go into the office. I've seen you because I've hung out at your office and I know exactly what I'm talking about. You do not spend a lot of time in the kitchenette or around the water cooler hanging around talking to low-producing agents, thank God. You walk through the office, you greet the receptionist, and then you go to your office and you sit at your desk and you make calls and you get stuff done. Let's start there. Let's start with what do most agents do in your office that's probably killing them on a day-to-day basis?
They're talking to each other about stuff that really just doesn't stinking matter. Actually, one of the things that when this office was being built, we were asked to come in. We could pick out any office we wanted in the entire facility when it was just sticks, right? We came in and we found the back door, which is right through that wall. And we chose this office for two reasons. One, we didn't have to walk through the office and talk to everybody. We could come right in through the back door, take a swing left, and we were land right in our office. So it was zero waste of time. I walked around the office 8 months ago. I think maybe in the beginning of the year, probably February-ish. Went to the kitchenette to get my coffee and then back to my cave here in my office. And I talked to this agent and I said, so-and-so, how's your business doing? He said, well, it's okay. And I said, okay, so what's going on? He's like, what are you doing for prospecting? He's like, nothing. And I was just like, okay, so we found our problem. A lot of what agents do, and I'm sure all of you listening to this, either live or in the recording, are going to chuckle, because what mass majority of agents do, and I hope the ones that are listening to this don't do this, is that you come to the office, one, for the free coffee, or two, to get away from your spouse. Forget about the fact that this is actually a place of business and you need to come in and do some production so you can pay those bills that you have and pay off the credit cards. But, the number one thing I see people do is come in and have idle chit chat about something that doesn't affect your bottom line. And we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of procrastination, and procrastination is something that affects every one of us. So if you can just get away from doing the procrastination on all things, and lead generation, prospecting. Oh Lord, don't you dare cuss at me again and say prospecting. Yes, I mean prospecting. That doesn't mean you have to do cold calling, door knocking, networking, or anything else. It could be something fun, you guys. Have you ever thought about that? What if you could make prospecting fun? Would you procrastinate against it? I was talking with an agent the other day, and she was telling me, well, Greg, I don't do this, I don't do that, I don't do this, don't do that, and blah, blah, blah. I said, so what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? And she laid a few out for me. And I said, great, we figured out a plan for her. She's a horseback rider. She's a singer. She was young. Her boyfriend was, integrated into his crew over in North Carolina. And so in about a 25-minute conversation, we found out a way for her to go out and prospect using digital tools that are available for free. And she could go out and do something that she was excited about. The next day, She emailed me. She's like, Greg, everything that you sent to me, I've opened it up. I started reading it. I love it. I've got onto Zillow. I started making, make me move calls. I started looking at the FSBOs. I started reaching out to the construction folks. For the guy, everyone who listened to our last mini hangout about how to work with construction companies and contractors, guys, go back and listen to that. If you haven't, you'll know what I'm talking about. Good. Mm-hmm. And she started coming alive. So if your mind starts moving right now, and you're like, Matt, it is moving, yes. But if you guys can come up with something that you like, a hobby, something fun for you, and then just go, insert yourself into it, that can be prospecting. So if you like to work out, go to the gym during the middle of the day and take a couple of classes. If you like to bike ride or hike, crochet, sail, boat, cook, whatever, start doing something. The number one biggest thing is that people just don't do fun things for prospecting. They think it has to be boring. So that's one of my biggest ones.
They spend their time like getting ready to get prospecting. If they intend to do it at all.
Do not make a list to get ready to make a list to go door knocking or prospecting of any sort. You're never going to get out of the damn door, people. I know what I'm talking about. I was that guy for way too long.
I don't believe that for a second. All right, so let's what other kind of, besides procrastination on prospecting, so what other daily habits are killing the people in your office and offices you see when you visit?
Not having a regimented morning routine. Now, some of you are saying, look, I'm not a morning person, but you can be a morning person, afternoon, or evening person, but there has to be a routine set up so that you can get yourself going in the morning. Now, for me, I'm a morning person, so I'm going to speak to this. What I really like to do in the morning is I get up, and this next part, you guys will think I'm sick, but I get up about, depending on what my body's up to, about 3:45 in the morning. Then go back to sleep until about 4:45. My alarm goes off at 5. I let 3, snoozes till it's 5:18. I've done this more than once, you can tell. I get up, get going, brush my teeth, change my clothes, get to the gym, work out for an hour and a half, come back, clean up, and head into the office. Now, when I get into the office, or actually before I get into the office at my house, I'll sit and I'll do some, quick meditations, quick reflexation on something, really kind of do some writing. I definitely do reading. Now, for me, I'm dyslexic, as you all know. If you don't, now you do. But I do a lot of listening to books. So they say if you were to turn off the annoying DJ and stop listening to the pop song that's overplayed 1 billion times on the radio and actually put a book on tape or an educational podcast or a TED Talk, or listen to us maybe. Hey, there's an idea. But if you were to take one subject and listen to it in your commute, on the average commute is 25 minutes one way and then 25 minutes the other way. If you do that for 1 year, you'll have the equivalent of a PhD in any subject matter. They call it the University of Asphalt. Because you're on the road all the time.
I've never heard that before. That's awesome.
Really? First time I heard that, I'm like, wait a minute, I dropped out of college. Wait, I can go back to school? This is amazing. All I have to do is drive. I don't have to attend class.
That's awesome.
But that's what I see people not doing. They're not investing in themselves. I just got back from yesterday from CAR, California Association of Realtors Expo, on Tech Tuesday. Guys, this notepad was not this full of notes before I went down there. I took probably 10 pages of notes on stuff, and I found some really cool tips that Matt and I are going to share with you guys in future episodes. But when's the last time you invested in yourself? I see that as a major flaw and a failure point, because so many people get caught up in the minutia of the day-to-day life. I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, but they never take time to invest in themselves. I almost didn't even go down to CAR for a day. I was getting blown up by emails and phone calls all day long, but I'm like, you know what, screw that and screw them. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to take the time to invest in myself. And so I challenge you and encourage you to go to one seminar a quarter and read one book or listen to one book a month, non-fictional, guys. The different colors, shades of gray does not count as a book for education, okay? Hope you guys
or for guys in general, just
or for guys.
That out
there. Good point.
That's what they call chick lit. Just putting that out there. All right, so reading 50, you heard it from Greg. Reading 50 Shades of Grey is a bad habit for real estate agents,
especially guys.
Okay, so inconsistent morning routine. I agree. That's a big one. I would also say. Distractions. One of the things that I worked on when I moved out to San Diego and started really working on my morning routine was also putting away the this little guy right here, putting that away and not having it out all the time, especially in the mornings. So for me, like the morning is the prime time. That's when I get the bulk of my work done. So I'll just work for like 5 hours straight and get as much knocked out as I can. So for me, I want as little distraction as humanly possible during that prime time. So I've learned to kind of put the phone away and not even have it out unless I have a phone call that I have to make that I have to use the phone for. I usually don't even have it out during the morning. So, and that's especially if you're going to be prospecting, like we talked to Jeff Cohn about that. What was it? Was it last Friday's episode?
2 Fridays ago, wasn't it?
2 Fridays ago. Yeah. So we're talking to Jeff, and he made a good point, which is when he was prospecting actively, you know, he would have his 90-minute block. He would go into his office. He would shut the door. He'd have a sign outside the door that said, "Don't disturb me." He would shut the shade so he couldn't even see outside and look at people walking past. I mean, he literally shut everything else out and focused like a laser on prospecting, because if you do that, as long as you have good systems in place, everything else will flow from there, and you will succeed.
Yeah, so this right here, guys, this is what he's talking about. It says, "Stop, I'm in my hour of power." I hang this from my door, and it works. People stay out. I mean, it's blatantly telling them, look, this is my time to build my business. And the other thing that, like, I'm going to piggyback off of you, Matt, is the fact that if you were to just take 1 hour of your day, that's only 4% of your entire day. That's it. That's all that we're asking. And you dedicate that to lead follow-up or to lead generation. You know what, guys? You will see a dramatic increase in your business very, very quickly. But you're the ones at fault for not doing it because you don't prioritize it. You don't time block it. And that's another point. Time blocking. Do not be that person that has to call back the prospect and say, "Yeah, Bob, I can't make it because I overbooked myself." What does that say to Bob? Okay, Bob sucks now. Bob is bottom of the barrel. Bob's not going to want to list with you because he doesn't feel important. Everybody wants to feel important. So take the time and start making sure that you never make Bob feel like a second-class citizen. All right. That is, I mean, because think about the last time you were told, "Oh, hey, I overbooked myself," and you're not important enough to bump someone else. You're the second-class citizen. Yeah. You know, "Oh yeah, I have $1 million home. I was going to list it with you, Matt, but because you bumped me, I'm going to give it to Eileen over here." Mm-hmm. Crap. There goes $30,000 to $40,000 because I couldn't go into Google Calendars and set up a time to call people back. Don't. Okay, so I will back up the rant.
Well, yeah, and don't treat your own, you know, don't treat other people better than you treat your own business. You know, when you're talking about time blocking, one of the big things that, you know, that Gary talked about in the one thing is how your prospecting, your business building activities have to be time blocked. But the first thing most agents jettison as soon as it gets busy is they may time block that out in their calendars, but it's literally the first thing to go. As soon as they get busy, it's the prospecting that goes by the wayside first. Yep. But you're only doing yourself a disservice. So if somebody wants to book an appointment with you, you know, sorry, that's you know, you tell them you have a prior appointment if it falls within your prospecting time. But most agents are all too happy to book something during their prospecting time and then go, "Oh, you know, that's when they wanted to meet. I'm just trying to do what's right by my clients." But it's not what's right by your business.
No, it's not. We're going to jump back to the one thing with Gary Keller. I watched a great interview today, guys, with Ty Lopez with Gary Keller on a phone call. If you guys don't know who Ty Lopez is, go take a look at him. He has the largest book club next to Oprah Winfrey. He has a thing called the 67-day program, which I just went through. It's fantastic. It costs $67. You can do a lot worse things with $67, by the way. And he goes through some really good stuff, and I think it would be pertinent for what we're talking about. But anyways, enough about him. Let's get back to you guys. But the thing is like, let's identify what that one thing is right now. So everyone take a second, identify that one thing, whatever it is. Is it making more money, getting more free time, doing more deals, doing less deals, you know, transitioning out of your business, getting a buyer's agent, getting the first assistant? What is that one thing that you need to start working on right now? And then when could you start it? Very simple question. When could you start it? Could you start it now, tomorrow, next week? Never. It really depends on, you know, you need to let yourself know when you can start it. Then how much time are you going to devote to it? Let's be very, very upfront about this. You know, as Tony Robbins says, you rarely do what you should do. You always do what you must do. Okay. So turn your shoulds into musts. So what's the time? Could you devote 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours a day to this thing? What is it? And start moving on it. they did a study a number of years ago. I forget the name, the university, unfortunately, but they did a study on the difference in how your brain reacts between multitasking and smoking weed. Now, what they found is that when you smoke weed, you become on average about 5% dumber than your sober self.
I don't believe that for a second.
Well, you'll believe this next part. Then they found if you multitask, you become about 10% dumber than when you're trying to do that one thing, guys. So you better be writing down this stuff right now. It's only for your interest and your better good that Matt and I are talking about this stuff. And I got such a kick out of reading it that the reason that people don't identify the one thing, because they don't want to be accountable. I know those accountability phone calls, accountability groups. That's like a cuss word in our industry. Accountable. Ooh, God, it's like having another boss. I don't want another boss. I got in real estate and I have a boss. Well, be accountable to yourself. I always tell everybody that when I make a promise to do something, even if it's something very minuscule, but it's a promise that I need to hold to myself and nobody else will ever know if I don't hold it, I always make sure I hold it, because if I know that I can't hold a promise to myself, how can anyone else expect me to hold my word to them? Mm-hmm. So start tomorrow, start today, start when this podcast ends, or when this recording ends, and write down what you want to be accountable for. Write down that one goal you want to go for, and then write out how you're going to get there and send it to us. You think I'm kidding? Matt and I want to hear from you. We want to see your successes. So show it to us, guys. Okay, God, I've gone on a couple of rants today.
Yes, you have.
You did a good job winding me up, my friend.
Yeah, I did. I did wind you up a little bit. All right, guys. That's gonna
just go.
Exactly. All right, so that's going to do it for this particular mini episode. So as far as we would love to actually hear what your one thing is, what your goal is. So if you want to shoot that over to us, just email greg@mcdanielrealestatesystems.com. It's the best way to do it. As always, subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher if you prefer the audio versions, like Greg talked about the audiobooks. Podcasts are another great way to get an instant download of information in your commute time, in and to the office, or out and back from appointments and things like that. You've got plenty of time in the car. Let's make it usable. And then follow us on Twitter, @McDanielSystems, and mine is @BrokenFunnel.
Yeah.
Any parting words, Greg?
Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to give the people viewing this right now, I'm going to give them direct access to my private email. No. It is McDaniel.44, the two numbers, @gmail.com. So McDaniel.44@gmail.com. Guys, that comes directly to me. No filters, no gatekeepers, nothing. So email me. I want to hear from you.
Sounds pretty risky. Do you really want to communicate directly with Greg?
Move forward at your own risk and peril.
That's right.
Or your total and utter success. Anyways, enough jabbering about us.
Well, that too. All right. Guys, until next time, we've got a good episode coming up this Friday. And then we'll be back, as always, in a couple weeks with another full episode of Real Estate Uncensored. If you're enjoying these little mini episodes, let us know. And if you have any questions or certain topics that you'd like us to address on a future one, that's something else that you can email or send to us on Twitter. So any ideas for future episodes, anybody you'd like us to interview, anybody that's killing it, that you'd love to see on the show, we'd love to have them on. So with that, again, guys, thanks so much for watching, and we will see you on the next one.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.